Hey, cherished listeners, Tim Rose here. In case you haven't already heard, I'm re-releasing some of my previous episodes, as I have discovered that these episodes are posted in mono as opposed to stereo. So, I bit the bullet and ponied up for the stereo version. Now, prepare yourself for this Tim Tunes Reverb episode in stereo. Tim Tunes Reverb number 1. Ted Onulak. If you missed the first time around with Ted Onulak, then you missed a treat. In addition to our conversation with the irrepressible Ted, there are recordings of a few of his original songs, as well as bootlegs of his band playing live at Madam's Organ in Adams Morgan in Washington, D.C., where Ted and his band, Exit 10, continue to play on Monday nights. I've combined both episodes 3-2 and 3-3 into a continuous conversation. Enjoy! Welcome back! This episode is part 1 of a conversation with old friend Ted Onulak. A man of many talents, Ted is an accomplished saxophonist, vocalist, songwriter, blues harpist, and band leader. His band, Exit 10, can be seen in Washington, D.C. on Monday nights at a venue called Madam's Organ in Adams Morgan. I went there to hear the band the night before our talk. The conversation for this episode was recorded the next day. This is the Tim Tunes podcast, and I'm here with Ted Onulak.
Hello, all my fans out there in Radioland.
Very nice. And the internet.
Oh, they have an internet? What is that internet? Is that for pornography?
Primarily.
I see.
But you're in podcast land now.
Okay, there you go.
Yes.
This is clean. There's not going to be any
No. You can
Okay.
do anything. You can say whatever you want. I have full power to cut and remove or edit
I
or
love that.
enhance or change the order of your words.
If only I had that power.
So when we were in college, did we play together? We played some. I think you sat in a few times.
No, I was in your little fun.
You were in my band? You were in the band at the...
Yeah, with Joe Cashwell.
Oh,
and,
Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good.
We played...
What was the name of that place? Do you remember? It was
Das Gas House? Was that where we played?
No. It was just this little bar that had like a bar in one room at one side,
Yeah,
and a room on the other side.
side.
We played like every Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
Forever
and
and
we
ever.
played some coffee houses. I was just barely learning saxophone then. I had bought a sax before I came to Frostburg.
Yeah.
And then I got my tenor, and then I started to play tenor, and it was, I went from playing like a $50 antique saxophone where half the notes didn't work till I begged my mom. I said, I really want to play saxophone. I want an honorary summer. I want a Mark 6, So I think for my birthday, my 19th birthday, that's the sax I played last night.
Mark 6.
Yeah,
You beg good.
I do beg good. My mom was a soft touch. Like me, I take after her.
I just barely got a Bundy clarinet, buddy. So you're way out of my league. What we've just heard is Ted playing on the intro to my song Dottie Lou. I always love that intro. It really catches the mood of the song and puts the listener in the right frame of mind right off the bat. Now, let's go back to our conversation as Ted and I discuss his band Exit 10's performance from the previous night.
I did a particularly good solo in Thrill Gone last night. And I got quite a rousing round of applause.
Yeah.
And then I just picked up my sax and held it up and I said in the microphone, "It's all in here."
I noticed it wasn't like it was the feeling that came out of the sax.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were playing a bunch of notes or anything.
Yeah.
You just had like a growl and a feeling to it that was just awesome. And the crowd responded to that in a big way. You could hear people in the middle of you playing. They started clapping and shouting and stuff. That was really good.
last entry passage in my solo, I quoted "Last Tango in Paris." Basically, I was like, "Ba ba ba be da, ba be ba ba be do 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 do." But because it still fit in a minor blues there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always kind of amuse myself, doing movie soundtrack chords and things.
Well, I hear you guys playing little licks from stuff all the time,
all the
and it's like you'll see the other guy's eyes light up, and they'll just go there right away, That's Marcus Esposito, soloing on the organ there from my bootleg recording the night before our conversation. Ted and I moved on to a conversation about his song, Living Down in Richmond.
So I wrote this song. It's on our first album. It's called Living Down in Richmond.
Uh-huh.
And I had been going to the School for the Blind in Richmond. And, I took my sax with me, and I was practicing, to learn mobility with a cane, to learn Braille.
Yeah.
To learn, whatever the hell. Oh, yeah, I was doing the software for computer, the JAWS software. So it was constant, freaking information that it's all new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like dropping me in China and making me learn Chinese.
Right.
And one of the things that happened at the School for the Blind, it was really Southern cooking, and it was really fucking fattening.
Yes.
All the guys, we gained weight
crazy.
It was insane.
Yeah.
It was halfway through that semester, I felt Jesus, I gotta go and buy new pants. It was crazy. And I'm gonna tell you, this was breakfast. Yeah, breakfast. It's grits and bacon and sausage and scrambled eggs and the gravy. The whole schmear, then you got a little dish of cantaloupe, the size of 3 pieces of cantaloupe or something, and we started really gaining weight and stuff, and oh my God. So when I came down, I started to do this song called Living Down in Richmond.
Yeah.
And it was initially going to be a funny, jokey blues song about getting fat.
Yeah.
It's I think the first lyric I have them written down someplace, the original ones, but the lyric was something like, living down in Richmond, I must have gained 20 pounds. It's so hard to say no when those Southern girls come around. And then for breakfast it was grits and gravy. Well, for lunch it was blah blah blah. So it was a very understand. It's kind of one of your kind of humorous kind of topical songs, And so we're okay. So I'm teaching it to the band, and while we were messing around, our guitar player Arch was doing these really Andy Summers kind of chords with a lot of phase and stuff on it, just like the Police. I don't know, maybe he was doing something in his own mind or working on some Police song for one of his other bands or something. And he started playing my chords, but in that Andy Summers style.
Yeah.
Gene, Gene. It was real open and empty. No third, I think, a lot of the times. And I said, hey man, keep that. Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
The rhythm section changed, the approach changed, the lyrics changed,
Yeah.
the vocal approach changed.
Yeah.
It's that
song was fighting to get out of you, though, Ted.
It was.
It was something you needed to say. You were trying to make fun of something that you really did not feel fun about. You know?
Yeah.
And that was your way. You were trying to deal with it by making a joke, right? Well, and you needed to really just speak what was in your heart.
Exactly. Well, that's why musicians have each other.
This recording of Living Down in Richmond is included on Exit 10's album Blues Noir and features Marcus S. Esposito on keyboards, Arch Alcantara on electric guitar, Scott McKnight on bass and rhythm guitar, Jimmy Jones on drums, and of course, Ted Onulak on vocals and soprano sax. Let's listen.
Fighting for my life, walking through the darkness, but my dream's still shining bright. It's so hard to keep pushing on when your life is one big fight. Like a hungry ghost, I woke up and tried to do my best. I had so many questions, so many burdens on my chest. Living down in Richmond, I put my courage to the test. Fighting for my life, walking through the darkness, but my dream's still shining bright. It's so hard to keep pushing on when your life is one big fight. I heard the world around me speaking in voices loud and clear. I learned to read with my fingers, cross busy streets by ear. Living down in Richmond, I would conquer all my fear. Fighting for my life, walking through the darkness, but my dream's still shining bright. It's so hard to keep pushing on when your life is one big fight. The teachers, they all taught me that you don't need eyes to see. You know I met so many people that see far less than me. Living down in Richmond has finally set me free. Living down in Richmond has finally set me free. Set me free, set me free.
That's a little solo clip from our bootleg recording of Exit 10, featuring guitarist Johnny Vengrowski. Now, let's move on to our next song.
Like another quick story is Tango with the Devil, which is one of my most successful songs because we won the AFI award for best 48-hour music video. I think you've seen Tango with the Devil video, right? With the dancing girls and stuff.
I have seen that. Yeah.
So I was sitting there, we're recording pieces for the the Demi-Monde album.
Uh-huh.
And I was just sitting in my office, waiting for band practice to happen. It was maybe an hour away. I said, I need another song. I need something a little bit more on tempo. I need another fast song for this album. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And we had just been working on the song Demi-Monde, which is a blues tango. It's just a tango beat in blues. And very much so, it's got the snare, just like a tango. Like that. So I'm just sitting there going, yeah, tango what? Tango with the devil. And I said, yeah, tango with the devil. And I just started writing. That song, I literally wrote in 10 minutes.
Wow.
And then after I wrote it, all of a sudden the music started to come to my head. I said, I want sounds from Italian cinema.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I said baritone guitar, the spaghetti westerns.
Uh-huh.
If you listen carefully, there's a baritone.
Yeah.
Doom, 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 doom.
Yeah.
And then I said, the double farfisa sound from Omachord. And all of a sudden I was my mind went to all the Italian cinema I've ever seen in my life, and I was creating the orchestration.
So you take that to the band and they're eating it up.
Yeah. And they were and Marcus is the greatest one for that.
Yeah.
He'll just go, I'll just say, I'll say, right here, I want this octave org. He says, have you ever seen Omachord? I said, think of that. And he was saying, because I had the basic chords. I don't think any of my songs are really chordally sophisticated. Mm-hmm. And you taught me that.
Yeah.
Not because I've listened to you, but we actually had a physical conversation after one of the gigs in Frostburg.
Yeah.
And I asked you about your songs and stuff.
Yeah.
And he says, you cannot exist without stealing chord patterns.
Yeah.
You cannot. It cannot be done.
Right.
There's
only so many.
Exactly. What is 164?
Well, there's only so many that anybody wants to hear.
Well, unless we're writing Rites of Spring.
Now let's listen to Ted Onulak, Marcus Esposito, Arch Alcantara, Scott McKnight, and Jimmy Jones on Tango with the Devil.
You up when you are dry? Who gets you laid? Who gets you high? Who plays the music when you dance? Who knows your needs at a glance? Pick up your drink and come with me. He's gonna set you free. He's your daddy, not your lover. She's your mistress, not your wife. When you tangle with the devil, you got a partner for life. Forget the priests, forget the nuns. They're only out to spoil your fun. Too many rules to obey. There's gotta be a better way. So grab your smokes and come with me. He's gotta set you free. your daddy, not your lover. She's your mistress, not your wife. When you tangle with the devil, you found a partner for life. Said it would be easy. You know the road is dark and sleazy. No one said it would be cheap. In fact, it's bound to make you weep. So get some cash and come with me. You know he's gonna set you free. He's your daddy, not your lover. She's your mistress, not your wife. When you tangle with the devil, you found a partner for life. Who fills you up when you are dry? Who gets you laid, who gets you high? Who plays the music when you dance? Who knows your needs at a glance? Pick up your chains and come with me. He's not gonna set you free.
So we come to the end of part one of our conversation with Ted Onulak. We'll skip the outro of part one and the intro of part two and get right back into our conversation. Here we go. In this episode, we'll talk about performing and playing live. Then Ted will detail how he conceived, wrote, produced, and recorded his song Threnody. We'll end on a philosophical note with a bit of a sonnet Ted wrote. Just a heads up. I know I didn't say anything in the previous episode, but this episode contains explicit language, and we may possibly discuss some adult situations, so be forewarned. We'll pick up our conversation where Ted tells us how he came to play the saxophone.
No, but so I was teaching myself. And, kind of was starting to put it together.
Yeah.
And, and I think I have some innate musical ability. I played keyboards before, I sang, I knew music, all right.
Yeah.
But when I started really getting into the sax, it was like, I always tell people I was a musician looking for an instrument.
Oh, that's so interesting.
The tenor sax was just like...
And it just found you.
It just did like that.
Well, the tenor sax, you are the tenor sax.
I know.
That's such an appropriate instrument. That's a clip from my bootleg recording of Ted and Exit 10 from the night before our conversation. In addition to Ted, Exit 10 consists of Jimmy Jones on drums, Charles Solomon on bass, Johnny Vengrowski on electric guitar, and of course, Marcus Esposito on keyboards. Let's listen to Ted talk about musicians and their instruments and playing during the pandemic.
See how loyal I am? Music first and
Yes,
foremost,
yes.
You gotta get, it's the instrument. The instrument is a sacred freaking thing.
Yeah.
It's like your best friend in life, I think. Not to say that I don't value human people.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
But it's sort of like, there's just sort of a bond you have. There's just sort of like a mystic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you last night. You kept trying to give yours money.
Feeding it money. I know.
You were cleaning your pads.
Yeah, no, that's like the worst thing in summertime in DC when you're
Humidity.
playing out. Oh God, like
Yeah.
your pads get all gummy and sticky, and then I'm like trying to do like a run or a passage or an
And it
arpeggio,
sticks.
and it sticks, and you go, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, they make. You know, you say, well, it was a really avant-garde choice of notes, but you're like, oh, my pad stuck, you know.
Yeah.
So, I think that was one of the toughest things for me during the pandemic was that, Jesus, you know, I didn't have any musicians to play with.
Yeah.
You know, it was sort of like, and then I went on a recording session with, you met my friend Mike Custer, I think, was at the gig last night too.
Yeah.
And he called me up to do some studio stuff, and I went and played with them for like about 4 or 5 hours on their originals. They've been just sitting there writing pandemic songs.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And it was like, it's like being a foreigner, then you go back to your own country where everybody speaks your language,
Right.
and you go, they know what I mean.
It's easier to speak. You can just
Yeah.
say what you think, and they
Yeah,
know
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but and also in the musical sense too. You're just able to be with a bunch of musicians and communicate and, you know, play stuff and hear things. You know, it's truly amazing. As a musician, as a very fine musician yourself, you know.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I'm always blown away by those little things you play between the segments of your podcast.
You like this?
Yeah, man, I told you that. I said,
Yeah.
I didn't know you could blaze like that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, dude, on the computer, I can't play like that live.
Yeah.
Modest.
Some I can.
I know you can.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It
the
depends.
jazz chords.
I mean, all of anything that's on the guitar, I play.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, all the jazz stuff.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all Bittner, you know.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say.
You know, that's all right out of the school of Bibb Bittner.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, Lazy Love, right out of the school of Bittner.
Absolutely.
You know, What We Make It, right out of the school of
Yeah,
Bittner. Yeah.
That's a great song. I always love that song. It's
That's the intro to my song, What We Make It, recorded with Ted back in 1982 at Bias Studios in Springfield, Virginia. Again, Ted is able to connect and communicate the feeling and mode of the song. Now, let's rejoin the conversation as we discuss musical creativity. You really breathe a lot when you play a wind instrument.
You do.
It's all about breath,
It is.
you know, breathing and embouchure.
And power to get that big rock and roll sound. I always tell people I got to push off the floor with the balls of my feet.
Yeah.
So like today, like my body is aching. Just from all that muscle tension and diaphragmatic tension.
Keeps you in shape, though.
Well,
I mean, people don't. No, I mean, you know what I mean. You're in good. You know.
I'm a very physically strong human
Yeah.
being.
You know, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Singing does that too.
It does. Yeah.
It depends on how you sing, of course, but you know.
There's so many ways to sing too. That's the really interesting thing. Is like
That's true.
When this band, well, on the blues band at Juke Joint Jokers, I became the lead singer because our guitar player and his wife had formed the band, and she was like the female singer, and she had a good voice and stuff. She was aight, but they divorced, and like we still had all these gigs on the books. So, and I had kind of sung a song, a song or three, just to give the lead singer a little space, like Jimmy does for me.
Yeah.
So I started becoming the lead singer in that band.
Yeah.
And I really actually enjoyed it. I love singing,
Yeah.
I wrote in one of my posts that when we were talking about the Ukrainian war, it says, you see Ukrainians sing all the time.
Yeah.
They're always singing the bomb shelters, they're singing here, they're singing there, it's a very song culture. Like our history is like, it is written in song.
Yeah.
All the old ballads and tone poems and things, Singing kind of came naturally to me, in a sense.
Yeah.
I never thought of myself as that guy who was a singer.
That's funny. It's funny you say it because in the South, everybody sings. I mean, everybody goes to church and everybody sings
Of course,
in church.
yeah.
Right? That's where everybody starts. I mean, if you ask, almost anybody from the South, where did you start? They said, I started singing in church.
Yeah. Well, when me and Jimmy, we sing "Take Me to the River."
Yeah.
Which is like funny because it's the verses are very secular and very weird.
Yes.
And then you go to take me to the river, drop me in the water, which is, baptism,
Yeah.
thing. And then during our outro on the chorus, me and Jimmy, we shift and we just start singing a couple choruses of Wade in the Water. Just for fun.
Yeah.
It just fits over
I heard
those
that last
changes,
night. Yeah, I heard that last night.
I think I did it spontaneously one night,
Yeah.
Jimmy picked it up and then we kind of I don't know, it sounds like fun. But we never rehearse any vocals. Isn't that a funny thing about bands?
Yeah, they don't rehearse vocals.
Yeah, it's like the last thing to be thought of.
I mean, it's like I always want to do harmonies, and nobody can do harmonies,
That's a gift in itself.
I hooked up in this one band just because I could do harmonies.
Oh, wow.
So I met this guy who did a solo gig, and he picked up a percussionist, and it was me, the percussionist, and this guy, and solely on being able to sing all the harmonies, all the songs that he had. And I'm just like singing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, we're doing Sounds of Silence, and I'm doing the Art Garfunkel part.
Oh, nice.
And as long as I'm not thinking about how high I'm singing, I can sing pretty high.
Yeah.
But as soon as I start thinking about it, I can't do it.
I can't attempt any high notes today because my voice is shot.
But
I can go high. I'm about 2.5 octave range.
But he said to me, we were just like doing song after song after song after song. He said, "Do you realize how rare this is?" And I was like, "No, I don't."
That's why I love like a cappella singing groups.
Yeah.
Like Lady Smith, like Mombasa, like incredible.
Oh, there's so many good ones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and what's its name? Even the
Pentatonics?
The Drift. Yeah, what's that band that was the Persuasions?
Oh yeah.
When you got 1 day for praying and 6 for fun, the odds against going to heaven are 6 to 1.
That's great.
That's great. Yeah, I like the Persuasions, and I always love to go to like a cappella things. And I'm a child. I guess I was born in '55.
Yeah.
So that was the music we all heard. We all heard that street corner, like doo-wop and stuff, and that just chock full of freaking harmonies. And then you got the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
And then,
but in a rock band, it's not going to happen.
You just wail. You just go out there.
Yeah. It's like now I'm going to sing this and you sing that, and the next time you do it, they're just singing whatever you're singing. It's like they're fine singing whatever you're singing.
It's freaking caterwauling.
Yeah.
That's basically the name.
But if it's caterwauling in harmony, it can be pretty cool.
It can be cool, yeah. But then again, very rarely do people think of that. Everybody, the bands that I've basically come across, they just kind of sing in unison.
Yeah,
but it's not unison because everybody's off somewhere. It's like, it just.
That's so true. That's so true. And after a while, it's just like, okay, that's fine. Just do what you do.
And it's just the odd thing, because I think truly the essence of music is the voice. It's the essence of music. You get, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's all you need. That's music. That's music already.
Rhythm and voice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, they say that all instruments attempt to imitate the voice.
Exactly.
Except for rhythm instruments, which are, keeping the time.
But.
Yeah.
I had a buddy in Jersey who was taking percussion lessons from Barry Altschul, the guy who was the percussionist for like a lot of the early Chicoria bands in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And his assignments were, he would say, here, take this recording of Body and Soul by Coleman Hawkins and play the drums. Not play the drums to it, but play the melody on the drums.
Oh, yeah.
And if you listen to jazz musicians, like Tony Williams, like he's completely melodic.
Oh yeah.
He's like a saxophone player.
But you look at his kit. He's got like 4 drums.
Yeah.
It's like, how does he do that?
I know, it's amazing.
He's like hitting the drums in different. It's like a steel drum almost.
Come on!
Hey, I'm not saying that Jimmy Jones is Tony Williams, but Jimmy played this tight, sweet, funky drum solo on my bootleg recording of Exit 10. Okay, let's get back to our conversation as Ted tells us how the song Threnody came about. By the way, if you don't know what a threnody is, don't feel bad. I had to look it up. A threnody is a song of lamentation for the dead. And on that cheery note, we return to our TED Talk.
I know. So we tried it. We wanted. That was the one and only time we played it live.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And and it was a hard tune to repeat live because there's so much psychedelia going on there.
Yeah.
You know. And the funny thing about that song too was like half my band wanted me to play soprano sax on it because you're not going to play. I didn't play on it. That was just only vocals. I let the other band play. Yeah. So half of my band wanted me to play soprano, and the other half wanted me to play harmonica. And I was thinking about it, and I says, you know, if I play harmonica, it's going to throw it too much into the bluesy range.
Yeah.
And if I play soprano, it's really going to turn out to be like, you know,
a jazz tune,
a bitch's brew kind of thing. And I said, just leave it the way it is.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'd done my initial vocal pass.
Yeah.
And then I was pretty proud of it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And then I played it for my my wife. You know, she said, you know, that's really, your voice is like wrong. It's like too growly, too rough. You know, I was like, why don't you just sing? I know you can sing like nicer than that. You know, like, and I was really hurt because I worked on that all afternoon.
Yeah,
I was like, God damn. And then my initial reaction was like, what? You know?
Yeah.
And then I sat with it and listened to it because it was probably like, maybe I don't listen to it once in playback in the studio. And I said, that sounds all right. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Then when I listened to it at home, I said, I see your point.
Yeah.
I always think of the universality of music. It's like in human culture, you can play a sad song for people in New Guinea, and they know it's a sad song.
Yeah, right.
You know, and you could play like a happy song, and they know it's a happy song.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it seems so obvious, but is that really obvious? It's something in our DNA. You know, it's something that
we all used to sing. We all used to make music. Everybody used to do that. It's sad. It saddens me. This recording of Threnody is included on Exit 10's album Demimonde and features John Eggers on acoustic guitar, Marcus Esposito on keyboards and electric guitar, Arch Alcantara on electric guitar, Scott McKnight on bass and banjo, Jimmy Jones on drums, and of course, Ted Onulak on vocals. Let's listen.
Crucible of silence, I heard my own thoughts drowned. My life was like an aeroplane flying upside down as I sailed over broken furniture and humbly looked about. A hole inside my heaving chest had become a crimson spout. She held on to the smoking gun and like a knowing teacher grinned. She said, I cannot forgive you since I have never sinned. One notion fell on another like a temple of golden bricks. They seemed to be saying something till they fell down just for kicks. I had seen my last sunset through no fault of my own. I was turning back the pages of the street life I had known. The room was getting darker and time began to thin. I mumbled, I cannot forgive you since I have never sinned. In a tender voice she whispered, baby, stay right there. I was listening to some shining strings and wasn't going anywhere. She went to find a doctor, but stopped for cigarettes. Love was on her restless mind, mixing platitudes with regrets. Somewhere a radio was weeping, carried by the wind, singing, I cannot forgive you since I have never sinned. She found a doctor in a coma with no helping hand to give. He had tried to take his own life so that others might yet live. She shouted to the nicotine ceiling and beat up on his chest, but no shrieking first nor woman's tears could revive him from his rest. She never even noticed that on his chest a note was pinned. It said, I cannot forgive you since I have never sinned. She found a morphine needle in a black bag by the bed. Her mind lurched from a silent prayer that rattled in her head. She kissed that ice-cold needle, jammed it in her arm. There was nothing left but to get high, even to her little harm. The poison overtook her where once a heart had been, saying, I cannot forgive you since I have never sinned. So it all had come to nothing since no one took the blame. Just a few dry wooden lives that checked out in smoking flame. The law and local newsmen would try to think it through, but after 24 sleepless hours, there was nothing left to do. If I could change the story and once again begin, I know I could forgive you, 'cause I know that I have sinned.
So we conclude our conversation with Ted Onulak. Ted's music is available on most popular music platforms. The band's webpage can be found at exit10band.com. But here's a special message from Ted before we go.
You know, there are so many good causes, but, you know, I'm a Ukrainian American.
Right.
You know, people are...
Do you have a particular place for people to donate?
Yeah, you can get on Facebook. It's called United Help Ukraine.
Okay.
And they do a lot of... they do a little bit of everything. A lot of it is, you know, logistical and support and food and stuff like that. You know, they're not really like buying MX missiles and things. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, they're
taking care of people.
You know, so that's all right. I mean, me personally, I have Ukrainian friends that are traveling there. So from my own money, I bought some bulletproof vests.
Wow.
And I said, well,
take these with you.
Yeah, I was like, like they're like $500 a pop. You know, it's not like you can go to like Kmart, as far as I know, and buy bulletproof vests. You know, so it's like, as we say in Ukrainian, it's like na chornому. It's like on the black, like it's underground. You know, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who can fly him to Poland, who can drive him in a truck to fucking Donbass. You know, like that's how it goes. You know. But, I've worked very hard. I did a benefit at Madams for Ukraine for Bill, and I think I raised a good deal of money from like personal friends with deep pockets.
That's awesome.
And, you know, well into the six figures.
Well, we'll certainly put that on the front.
Well, thanks for listening. As always, you can subscribe to this podcast or stream or purchase my published music on your favorite podcast app or music source. Spotify, Pandora, Apple, or Amazon. We're going to close out today's session with something a little different. We're going to let Ted close it out with a little bit of his own musical philosophy.
I entered a poetry contest once. It was like, write a sonnet on music.
Yeah.
And like, it was online, and they kind of like, as the people put their poems online, and they were like voted on like by like a jury, like we all did, we could vote on each other's things. And all these sonnets I was reading were like, you could tell like the ones that were like not written by musicians.
Yeah.
It was always like, oh, ethereal, it comes from the clouds, and no, the mystic of it, and the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and you know, and I was going, and I remember I wrote this like thing of like, who picked up the stone and the stick, who blew the hollow bone, you know, like primitive music making, like and I think my last line, because you know the sonnet finishes in a couplet,
right?
You know, like. So I think my last line was, no Prometheus did us music bring. It was man who taught the gods to sing.